Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. And back in the studio with us is the one and only
Lupita.
Lupita. How are you doing today, Lupita?
I'm doing a lot better than I was, a couple weeks ago, and I feel really happy, and I'm very excited to be here.
Well, that is so important for our show. If we have a happy Lupita, then our entire show is happy. Absolutely so. Anyhow, welcome aboard. Anyhow, folks, we're going to have a great show for you today. Please stick with us. Please remember one of the important things for those of you that are listening on air, whether you're in your car or elsewhere, let people know about Politics Done Right. Let people know about KPFT 90.1 FM, a Pacifica Network radio station. Please remember, if you want real info, if you want to hear truth, if you want to be informed, there is no other place to be than where again, Lupita?
Politics Done Right, or KPFT.
There you go. Politics Done Right on KPFT. Folks, look, thank you so kindly for being here. We know that you have options, and the fact that you are here with us means everything to us. It absolutely means everything to us. And as I search and look for the program for today, what I want to start by telling you is we are going to have a great show, of course, and the title of the show today is Mainstream Media Not Only Derelict, but Complicit in the Decline of the Average American. Now, you guys hear me talk about the mainstream media all of the times ad nauseum. But what I intend to do as we go forward is to not only talk about the mainstream media, but give the examples when they occur to let you know, hey, we are being hoodwinked by these people because they form a part of the entire, the word I always use as well, right? Plutocracy, or corporatocracy. They are a part of this system that is really holding on to us. I was listening to Tom Hartman today, and he said, it is a shame because what it turns out to be is there's this small amount of people that ultimately controls it all. And it's not because these people are more powerful, it's that they've cornered the system. And the only way to uncorner this system, this is me talking now, but the only way to uncorner this system is for us to be informed, but not only informed, but equipped to do what is necessary so that we can take back control. Well, it's not so that we can take back control, so that we can take control. So anyhow, the subtitle of the show, today's editorial in a major newspaper in the United States, specifically the Houston Chronicle, illustrates a level of mainstream media dereliction and complicity. Be aware of it, folks. We have to be aware of the complicity of our media, major newspapers all around. They are creating a narrative. And you know what is the biggest issue with the narrative right now? The progressive message is finally taking off. The progressive message, people are assimilating it. Back in, I think the phones ring. Back then, it's interesting, right? I was in a Netroots Nation in 2000, I think it was 2014 or 2015, the one that we had in Arizona. And Elizabeth Warren then came to that Netroots, and she gave a speech. And this speech was just based on polls and numbers of the desires and the wants of the American population, right? And when you figured out what Americans wanted, They wanted the things that progressives were offering. But here's the kicker. You know, I don't know if you guys remember what the media did or what the right wing did with the word liberal. There used to be a time that everybody was proud to say, I'm a liberal, I'm a free thinker, I am somebody who wants to do things right, I'm somebody who's progressive, all these things people used to say, right? And then suddenly, what the right wing did is they made liberal, the word liberal, toxic. They made, once you say you're a liberal, somehow that was something to be scorned. That was something that was bad. That is what they did, right? But it turns out they're trying to do the same thing with the word progressive. They're trying to do with the same things that people want, the Green New Deal, which if you break down what's in the Green New Deal, everybody wants. But you call it just a Green New Deal and you're against it, and somehow that's some left-wing thing, right? So what I've started asking people is, don't just say those left-wing ideas. Ask them, what specifically in this left-wing idea don't you like? Please tell me specifically what items that I support, that we support as progressives, does America not like? And it generally turns out that they can't quite tell you. So anyhow, the mainstream media continues its dereliction and complicity. Progressives must remain on the lookout. You see, those that wield power continue to seed all spaces with misleading or false information. Given some of the information emanating from the mainstream media sources, it is clear the dereliction of their slant. Today, we discuss a clear hit job by the Houston Chronicle's editorial board on Medicare for All. The thing is, this type of bad information leads indirectly to the deaths of some of their readers. Indirectly, how? We will discuss that today. Before I get into the program, I want to remind all our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, my favorites are Think Wing Radio with
Mike Honig on Mondays at 3 p.m.
And of course, we have Open Journal with
Dwayne Bradley and crew on Mondays at 6 p.m.
And you know, my show, Jazz Latino Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz at its very best, hosted by the one and only
Juan Flores and me, Lupita,
and
Tuesdays, noon to 2.
You see, you get to hear you get a twofer on Tuesdays, right?
2 for Tuesday.
2 for Tuesdays. There you go. And of course, next, right after the show, is a show that I go home to, which is Asian Radio, a weekly radio program featuring an eclectic mix of Asian underground, Bagra, Bollywood, funk, Hindi, Rai, where ancient sounds meet future beats. And that is when?
Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m.
Absolutely. So, folks, check out our full schedule at KPFT 90.1 FM, kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is a listener-supported public community radio station. So please, 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 please remember that if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure we remain a strong, viable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information not influenced by whom again, Lupita?
The corporatocracy.
Absolutely, folks. We don't want to be influenced by the corporatocracy, because you know what? That becomes toxic to your health. That becomes I don't want to quite say a death sentence. That becomes your future, the future of indentured servitude. Okay, folks, do you know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, folks, the blog post today is not very long, so you can start firing up those lines at 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Please let them roll, because I want to hear your points of view. I want to hear what you have to say. Whether you agree or not, I want to hear your voices. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what party you are. I don't care what any ism you are. Just give us a call. 713-526-5738. Title of the show today is Houston Chronicle editorial on Medicare for All is the fight we must be ready for. It's a fraud on the truth, in my opinion. Okay? The Houston Chronicle made itself complicit and much of the Republican Party and a corporate sect of the Democratic Party, meaning candidate Michael Bennet, candidate John Delaney, candidate Joe Biden, by allowing the deaths of thousands of Texans and by extension tens of thousands of Americans every year. You see, the article by their editorial board has an impressive title. Their title is Why Obamacare Trumps Medicare for All, but devoid of any comparison or fact that justifies that statement. So they have this big article, Why Obamacare Trumps Medicare for All. Man, I know better, right? But I had to read this article because I know they were going to come up with some evidence and some good stuff that shows, Obamacare, I would have to be mathematically dumb, but hey, that's fine. I'm willing to, if they had said something that was convincing or something that, if they had said anything, I would have at least given it a time, but they said nothing. This is a classic example of an institution that should be the fourth estate, ceding its reputation and credibility to a plutocracy that aims maximal extraction from the middle class. The article intrigued me. My mind is made up about Medicare for All, from simply the mathematical certainty of removing huge profits from the simple task of paying a bill. In other words, we don't need profits in paying a bill. We don't need any innovation. You pay a bill, says, I give you a check for a service you provide. I give you a check for a product you provide. I don't need to add another tier, another level of payments to that. That is what insurance companies do. That is what they do. And if people want a better explanation, I'll do that at the end, my friends. But anyhow, let's continue. My mind is made up on Medicare for All from simply the mathematical certainty of removing huge profits from the simple task of paying a bill. Remember that the high salaries for private insurance executives are from the premiums you must pay. Remember as well that those dividends to insurance companies, shareholders, and kickbacks to doctors and hospitals are coming off the top of the premium you pay. So anytime you see that big executive in that for Aetna or one of those insurance companies, when you see them flying, when you see them on their golf courses, when you see them riding their horses, when you see them living the high life, remember, that is your money. That is the services they're not providing to cure somebody. When you see all that money that they spend, when you see all of that, that is your money. But I was still intrigued I was still intrigued with a title that stated Obamacare trumps Medicare for All. The Houston Chronicle had to have some new angle to justify such a title. Despite, quoting from the Houston Chronicle, despite Republicans' attempt to bleed it to death, there are new signs that the Affordable Care Act can survive. The question now is whether Democrats will abandon it for the form of Medicare for All. Among the positive signs, premiums for most ACA plans offered in the Houston area will go down about 1 to 2% in 2020. In contrast, premium rates to Obamacare plans across the country are expected to go up 3%. But even that is good news, given premiums nationally increased about 30% last year. That's what they said. That's how their article starts. I find it amusing. This is me talking now, so I got to go back to my natural voice. I find it amusing that the Houston Chronicle is praising a 1 to 2% decrease after a 30% increase from the previous year as something that is working, as opposed to the erratic nature of private insurance for profit maximization at all costs. Have these guys not been insurance-in for centuries? Haven't they been selling insurance a long time and should kind of know how things work? They went on to blame Trump for getting rid of the mandate, but they immediately put their tail between their legs and said, the president cannot be blamed for all the failures of the Affordable Care Act. So come on, what are you guys doing? You're supporting it, then you're not supporting it, then you're supporting it. You said the president is doing badly, but then you're concerned because the president may then come and attack you. So, you backtrack. No kidding. The above is the core of the article. It is mostly about the Affordable Care Act's dysfunction and that it needs fixing. That's what the article was about. That's not what I said. I wasn't the one calling the Affordable Care Act dysfunctional. I think the Affordable Care Act was a good first step. But this article that is saying the Affordable Care Act is the best thing since apple pie and is going to get better because, the Medicare for All would be so much worse. That article was about the dysfunction of the Affordable Care Act. But then they end with these following two paragraphs. Amazing. With only 10 candidates qualifying to participate in the September 12th Democratic presidential debate at Texas Southern University, healthcare should be a larger part of their conversation. After all, the effort it took to pass Obamacare and fight off legal attacks, voters need to know why some Democrats argue the ACA should be abandoned for a different massive program that would be subjected to the same gauntlet. Encouraging signs suggest an improved ACA in the better choice for Americans right now, even if it becomes a bridge later to something even better. Okay, let's stop. They gave absolutely nothing positive about the Affordable Care Act in this article. Read the entire article. I'm linked to it. Nothing positive about the Affordable Care Act. But at the same time, the title of the article says the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, trumps Medicare for all. This is the article put out by the Houston Chronicle's editorial board. This is an embarrassing article. It mostly says that the Affordable Care Act in the current form does not work well, but somehow it is a better choice than Medicare for All, which covers everyone with more than they have now at a lower cost. So they're saying that. The problem is that articles like this coming from a major newspaper is too often believed by too many, not realizing it is a bunch of editors doing their jobs as wards of the plutocracy that is sucking the wealth out of you. That's all they are. I have to look at this article and say the person who wrote or the persons who wrote this article could not be anything other than the wards to the plutocracy. If they're not officially so, they must have it in their hearts. Because that article said nothing about what makes the Affordable Care Act better than something that this Affordable Care Act should simply be a bridge towards. If these Houston Chronicle editors wanted to really make a difference, they would start by challenging the Texas legislature and the legislature in all the red states that have refused their citizens the health care they would be afforded if they had accepted the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. If they really wanted to be of substance, they would say, hey, Texas, why? These Republicans legislators are effectively murdering many of their citizens on the order of thousands a year. And instead of the newspaper like the Houston Chronicle calling them out ad nauseum to be the fourth estate for their readers, they play the game. They protect the plutocracy at the expense of the poor and the middle class, at the expense of their readers. Why can't they say, an article that is coming out to say these things, when it is saying, oh yeah, Obamacare needs some fixes, okay? Even if they wanted to be callous this way, wouldn't they have said Texas has not taken the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act, which is there for them to use now, which costs them but 10% of the cost, and which would prevent, first of all, which would ensure 1 million more Texans and also would prevent the deaths of many of their citizens. If they really wanted to be honest, wouldn't the Chronicle editors have said that? Wouldn't they have informed the citizenry that there is a plan right now on the table? Not a plan. There is a solution on the table right now for the million Texans that are currently uninsured. If they wanted something positive to say, wouldn't they have said that? That makes it even more evident that this is a hack job. In the Houston Chronicle, if the Houston Chronicle wanted to make a difference, they would also, through the mathematical calculations, which are not at all complex, that proves it is an impossibility for multiple payers for profits can be less expensive than a single payer system. It is a mathematical impossibility for you to say, you can pay the president of a company several $1 million, the executives of a company several $1 million, the other executives several $100,000, and shareholders of that insurance company a lot of money, and somehow say that, oh, but if you only have a single payer that has no cost of those, none of those costs, no shareholder costs, no advertising costs, no expenses, that somehow that can be less expensive. It is asking you to look in the mirror and say, guess what, mirror? You're looking at somebody that doesn't know how to think. But you see, we have an industry that is designed to lie to you, an industry that is designed that by just being the industry, you have faith in it. You have given them license to lie to you. You have given them a license to say, don't believe your lying eyes. I am telling you the truth even as I lie to you. Come on, people. We know better. And that is the fear now. And that is why you have articles like what came out in the Chronicle. The progressive message, the truth, is starting to sink in, and people are starting to take their reliance off of the fallacies coming from the status quo, the fallacies coming from the wards of the plutocracy, the fallacies coming from those who would benefit. So, folks, their dereliction of duty denies the reality even a right-wing Koch study confirmed. A right-wing Koch study said that Medicare for all compared to the healthcare system today would cost several $billion less. But there's another caveat. You're going to pay several $1 billion less to ensure everybody compared to the system that we have today that still leaves north of 50 million people uninsured or underinsured or unable to see a doctor. Which system is moral? And for you church-going folk, I'm talking now about the ministers, the leaders in the church that completely support the system that doesn't have a Medicare for all system. What would Jesus say? I have a thing with the evangelicals right now that's driving me crazy for what they have turned into, for what they are supporting. The complicity of the mainstream media with the corporatocracy, with the plutocracy, kills America. It kills America. Folks, wake up. Let's please, my brothers and sisters, wake up. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. 5738. I'm taking calls now, so call in. I have one caller on the phone right now that I'm going to take, so it's wide open for you to call in, my brothers and sisters. It's wide open. Give me a call, 713-526-5738. Okay, let's see. Line number 1. Come on in, Scott.
Hi, thank you. What stake do the major media have in corporatocracy?
Say that again?
I said, what stake do they have? Don't they get competition from indies on the internet?
No, let me tell you what stake they have, okay? And it's a big stake. It's a stake those of us that are indies don't have, right? In other words, if you are taking advertising from Embrand, if you're taking advertising from all these different companies that have products that are selling to you, what is the first thing that you have to do? You have to make sure to do nothing to compromise them.
Okay, they need advertisers.
Yes. And what I'm saying is the following, right? I am saying that we should not allow advertisers, we as the people of America, should not allow advertisers to govern the truth.
Okay. You know why I do not often read the New York Times or the Washington Post?
Why is that, sir?
Paywalls.
Say that again?
They have paywalls.
Right, paywalls.
Yes. I think it's the papers that are making money that have the paywalls.
Mm-hmm.
Seems others are struggling to get readers.
Let me say something.
I think the NYT and the WAPO don't really need more readers. They get plenty of money. So they get away with having paywalls.
Let me go on a personal notion now. Okay, let me take off my KPFT description because now that you brought up paywalls. I also have a news blog, egbertowillies.com and politicsandright.com, where I put news on. Okay, I do not have a paywall. You can read everything that I write free of charge.
You're struggling to get readers.
No, but here's the thing about it. No, I do have readers. I have thousands of readers.
Okay.
I mean thousands of readers. What I don't have is thousands of readers that are willing to pay. So when it comes to paywalls, right? What we have to try to do with the American citizenry is to understand that we all have a stake in the news, right? And not everybody can afford to pay for the news. But let me back up because you call here every week, Scott, and you are a contributor to KPFT.
Thank you.
You are
I also contribute a little bit monthly to your posting.
Well, look, I appreciate that so kindly, but here's what is so important for me to say. You see the importance of having many news sources, and you see the importance of also being a part of it. But because you contribute to KPFT, because you contribute to Politics Done Right and these issues, what you ensure is that these institutions don't have to be dependent on a set of values that's not their own. In other words, if we had to depend on Colgate, if we had to depend on Aetna, if we had to depend on State Farm, we would have to make sure to tailor the news that doesn't upset them.
Yeah.
Okay, so paywalls. I would love if the New York Times would say we're going full paywall. No advertising, then I would start believing the paper. You see what I'm saying? But when I know that they have to tailor their voices, I am concerned. Now, and that is the issue. It's a balancing act. So what we as American citizens, I think, are going to have to come to grips with is understanding that when we're looking at broadcast news and cable news, we always have to look at it through the prisms of their advertisers. When you're listening to KPFT, Pacifica, egbertowillies.com, Politics Done Right, the filter is you, the person, you, the people. And that is where I would eventually love for us to get. Anything else you want to add, Scott, before I go to the other call?
Well, forget what it was going to be.
That's okay. Look,
thank you.
Thank you so kindly for being a member of KPFT, and thank you so kindly for doing your part, my brother. Have a great one, okay?
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, Saeed. Come on in, Saeed.
Hi, how you doing? First-time caller. I'm an immigrant. I came to the U.S. like 11 years ago.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question, like if they do Medicare for all.
Yes, sir.
If they increase the taxes, how much will it be if they go with it?
That is a perfect question, sir. And let me tell you why that's a perfect question. Because that is the other scare tactic that the right and the corporate Democratic Party uses. Oh, the taxes are going to go up very high. To which I say, thank you so kindly. You're partially correct. And here's what I mean. Do you have insurance right now, sir?
Yes, and I'm paying 20% of my paycheck to the insurance.
In other words, you are getting robbed. They are stealing from you. The corporatocracy, the plutocracy, the insurance company are ripping you off so that administrator can fly in his jet and get a few $1 million a year. Let me tell you, your taxes are going to go up if we change to a Medicare for all system. Everybody's taxes are going to go up. But here's the deal. Right now, you're paying 20% of your salary, right? We will be incremental. We will be progressive. I don't know what the number is, but let's say we decide that it's going to be 6 or 7% of somebody's, just like you have FICA at 7.25% or something like that. It will be with Medicare for all, and it will be based on your income. In other words, nobody's going to be poor paying for their health care. But here's the magic of all of this, my brother, and this is the magic of the system. Right now, everybody isn't a part of the health care payment system. Right? In other words, if you don't have health care, if you don't have insurance and you do get into an accident, we pay for it. Right? Right now, we're saying the honest thing to have is Medicare for all, because everybody who works, they are in the system because it's a tax that we all pay. But we don't
get it wrong.
Yes. Go ahead.
100%, because
I can't hear you, sir. You're breaking up, sir. Go ahead again.
Hello, still there?
Yeah, you're here.
Think I lost. Yes. I don't go to a doctor because my deductible is $6,000.
Thank you.
And $6,000, I cannot go to a doctor. I'm named insured, but I'm not insured at all.
You know something? That's right. I want to stop you there. I want to stop you there because what you just said is so important. When the Chronicle talks about the Obamacare being sustainable, when they talk about it went up 30%, but it's going down to, that is what they neglect to tell you. They neglect to tell you that you have a $6,000 deductible. Many people are not going to touch their insurance with a $6,000 deductible unless something catastrophic happens. Okay, so that is people's reality today under the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act is a good stopgap measure. What we must have is Medicare for all, so that, Saeed, with Medicare for all, you will pay less, and if you need to go see the doctor tomorrow, you won't have to have any cash in your pocket. You're paying, Medicare for all is not free. It's not a freebie. It's not a giveaway. It is all of us as a society paying a tax, and all of us going to the private doctor that we want to go to, not what the insurance companies do today. The insurance companies today, you know what they tell you? You can have this doctor, you can have this medicine, you cannot have this doctor. And by the way, if you make a mistake and go to the wrong doctor, we sock it to you. That is the private healthcare system today. They're lying to you when they try to tell you you would lose your rights or you would lose some benefits if we went to a Medicare for all system. The Medicare for all system is better than today's Medicare. The Medicare for all system is orders of magnitude better than what private health care can provide, because they have to pay millions of dollars to their executives. They have to pay billions of dollars to their shareholders, and whatever is left back goes to health care. And remember, in order to pay all those bills, they have to say, we're going to deny you service, we're going to deny you credit, we're going to deny you the operation that you need. That is a health care system today, Saeed. Go ahead, my friend.
Okay, my other thing is about, I read the American history about slavery.
Yes.
And they used to provide food and housing and medical.
Right.
All free.
Right.
Now, if I'm working with minimum wages, I can provide only housing or food and medical.
Stay in one place. You're breaking up. Yeah, let me tell you something. You just said something that is so interesting. And I want to talk to you about that. What you're talking about is the ideal. What you're talking about is the aspect of capitalism, sir. Here's the deal. You just said something magical. Slaves. The slaves were taken care of because they were capital. The slaves were taken care of because they were the capital of the masters. The slaves were taken care of because the masters invested in that capital, and they didn't want to lose their fortune on the investment they made in that capital called a slave. But we have wait, let me finish.
Yeah.
We have human beings now that's working for minimum wage. They come a dime a dozen. If that minimum wage worker gets sick, that owner of that company has no responsibility to that person. So to hell with that person, and we just go ahead and bring somebody else in. It's better than slavery.
Exactly.
Do you get it?
It's worse than slavery. Exactly.
Now, and Saeed, so what I'm saying, I have such intelligent callers that understand the con. This is the con that we're living into. And they call it, oh, this economic system is so great. And here is a foreigner becoming an American citizen into a facade that he thought he was into, and just learned something that we've been talking about all the time. Whenever capital gets more credit in this country than humanity, in this country, capital is worth more than humanity. Thank you so kindly for calling, Saeed. You have a wonderful day. Yes, thank you so calling.
Yeah, you too.
You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Okay, let's go to, and by the way, we have open line 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Okay, come on in, Brad.
Hello, Egberto. You went to college?
Of course I did.
Well, what was your degree in?
I am a mechanical engineer. Not only am I a mechanical engineer, my friend, some of my software is actually on the space station. And let me continue with that because it seems like you're going to challenge me with something. Hold 1 second. So some of my software is in fact on the space station. And to go further, sir, I then formed a software company. I worked in a capitalist system, so I'm very well aware of what I speak, sir.
Do you do your books?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you know about accounting, right?
Yes, sir. I know about double entry accounting and all the work. So, sir, ask your question because I'm curious what this is going to be.
Accounting, there's two things to deal with accounting, debits and credits, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when you pay the insurance company, that is a debit to you, but that's a credit for them, correct?
Absolutely so.
And debits and credits have to always match up. I mean, if they don't, it's either a profit or it's a loss. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay, well, here's what I'm getting at. You're saying we're all going to have to spend less money getting more health care, correct?
Yeah, absolutely so, and I'm so happy that you've asked that question.
Hold on. Just like Donald Trump said, we're going to cut taxes, increase spending, and balance the budget.
No, no, you're wrong. You're absolutely...
Well, he was wrong because it didn't occur.
No, let me tell you, you're absolutely wrong about your premise. Here what it goes. And that's why I said math is absolute, right? I think when I made the discussion, I told you straight up, math is absolute. I'm an engineer. I only believe in numbers. Let me explain to you, sir. Let me explain in detail to you. But first of all, let me tell you something. All these Republicans that have run, they've constantly run on cutting taxes, and somehow the tax cuts would miraculously pay for themselves because of the economic activity. When it is known, it's a known thing, even in this crazy economics that we preach here, that it's wrong, because if you really want economic activity, you actually give the monies to the people that need it the most. But let's go to answer your question about math now, because this is where you are absolutely wrong, my dear brother, and it goes as follows. You're first of all correct that debits must equal credits, so that assuming we're balancing. I mean, that's not true in America because we run a deficit, which means that's not true. But let's go a little bit further. The reason why ensuring everybody is and using the Medicare for all thing is cost effective and cost less is simple. North of 20-something% of all premiums that go into the insurance companies, listen to what I'm saying, don't go towards health care. It goes towards multiple databases, multiple executives, shareholders, and all the works. So right off the top, You cut that 20% off, there is so much more money to give healthcare. Let's continue. I'm not done. That's not where the savings ends. The savings do not end there. Now, in order to deal with all these insurance companies, my brother, what do? They have to hire more staff. So all that staff that gets hired has to be paid, so it's more expensive so that they can navigate the different insurances. That's a fact. So here's the deal. It's not Egberto Willies just stating the fact that everybody gets insured for a lower cost than 50 million people not insured at a higher cost. A Koch study proved it, okay? And they did their calculations, so it's a fact. So let's not argue about the numbers. The numbers that I'm stating here are absolute. What is not absolute is the lie that must be told to you so that somebody as intelligent as you are, because you've called before, you're an intelligent person. The calculations that go into deceiving you is simply amazing. And it's effective because they have the money to do it. Continue, sir, and I got to go after this.
So this is the same Koch organization that says climate change doesn't exist, right?
What I'm trying to tell you, sir, is I'm
just curious if it is. Hey, but here's what I'm saying is, ultimately, you're not correct, because I've read numerous places that healthcare companies only make it 3%.
You heard wrong. It's a lie.
20%
No, sir. No.
They make it 3%.
Sir, no, you're our sir. Look, please. If you the number is so ridiculous. All you have to do, sir. You don't have to listen to me. Just go read their reports and just go read their profit reports and see what the profit is on the shareholder, the dividends the shareholders get and all of that, and then come back to me. I got to go to another. Brad,
3%, not 20. Here's a quick thing. What I'm saying is the money goes to pay doctors and nurses and hospitals. If you're going to lower your expenses, you're going to have to cut what doctors make and nurses make. That's where the money goes.
Brad, please, the numbers are absolute. You have shareholders,
You're
have
right.
executives. Okay,
the shareholders not getting 20% of health care expenses.
Sir,
the doctors
you are
and
wrong.
the nurses and the janitors and everyone who's getting a paycheck is getting the 95%, okay?
Brad, let me stop you right there, and then I got to go. It goes as follows. This is simple. This is not difficult at all. 20% of the monies that go into that your premiums pay for go into administration. Period. That's a fact. I'm not talking about payment for doctors and that sort of stuff. I'm talking about administration. Period. We'll talk another time, Brad. I got to go. I got a lot of calls, but brother, you keep listening and you keep calling. Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right. Let's go to Ed. Sorry about that, making you wait so long, Ed, but I'm coming to you now. Come on in, Ed.
Hey, what's going on, Egberto?
Talk to me, my brother.
Okay, back to the news and stuff.
Yes.
One thing I don't like is the mainstream news doesn't correct people when they're telling non-truths. I was watching a program the other night,
right?
And this guy said he's the speaker for the Texas House. He said that sales tax is the least regressive.
That is a lie. It's the most
regressive.
That's a total lie. It's the most regressive, yeah.
Because poor people spend all their money.
Right.
They have to.
Yes.
They go with bad tires because they don't have enough money. If they had a little more money, they would buy new tires maybe.
Right. Eddie, you're going to have to speed it up for me because I have like 3 calls I got to run to. So tell me what you want. What else you want to add?
Oh, that was it.
Well, let me tell you, Ed, I'm so glad that you called in and said that. I want you guys to listen to what Ed just said, that our current hosts on network TVs and elsewhere don't correct when people make mistakes. So don't just believe that something that's not corrected is true. Thank you so kindly for calling, Ed.
All right, you take care.
Take care now. Okay, let's go to Johnny, line numero 2. Come on in, Johnny.
Hey, Egberto.
Talk to me, brother.
Can you hear me good? First of all, make sure my Magic Jack phone is working properly.
Yes, your Magic Jack is working properly. Just remember you have to brake because it's monodirectional.
I know, I'm pretending I'm on a walkie-talkie.
Right.
Over.
Right. Over? Come on in, Johnny.
Over and out, Trump. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did I not ask Brad at least once or twice in the recent months to go to healthcareforalltexas.org, hcfat.org, and look at all the information they've got on all the numbers that explain how taxes will change to fund a Medicare for All system.
Yes, Johnny, you did say that, but let me tell you something. We have to work with our conservatives, okay? And let's do that. Well, you don't have to do it because you don't have the patience I do. We have to.
You got that one right. Over.
We have to work with them, and let me tell you what I mean by work with them. We have to give them areas that eventually they trust. I have a lot of conservative callers. They really, even though they don't agree with me, they trust me. Okay, I have to deliver that trust elsewhere to kind of say, hey, I need you to look at these numbers. So me and Brad, we'll continue talking. Me and quite a few other conservatives will continue talking, and that is how we're going to get there, Johnny. Tell me what else you want to tell me.
Hello, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. I agree with you because, in fact, I do no longer have the patience to do that. I seriously thought I ever did have the patience to do that. But here's my approach.
Yes, sir.
The approach I take is the exact approach you took at the start of today's program. You dealt with the money issue, because that is ultimately what rules people's thinking on lots of things, if not everything. It's the bottom line. People are basically selfish like that way.
Right.
They're not as altruistic as we like to think,
right,
as we see now the past 2 years.
Right.
So if you tell them, you show them the numbers, and don't say about the taxes going up. I say to them, what's the amount of money you're paying monthly for health care now? For your so-called health insurance. If it's $600 or $1,000 a month, subtract at least 30%, maybe 50% of that,
right,
and don't pay it to the insurance company no more. It goes to your payroll taxes, to the government to pay, and it's not government-run. You still go to your private doctor, private hospital, private clinic. Over.
Look, that is the deal. I hope everybody listened to what Johnny just said, because Johnny just explained it perfectly. In other words, you're out, and you know who did that perfectly as well? Elizabeth Warren. When Chris Matthews was trying to corner her into saying taxes are going to go up, she said your spending is going to go down. She did not allow Chris Matthews to direct the narrative. She directed the narrative. Johnny, I got to go to some more calls. Anything else you need to add real quickly?
Yeah, Bernie Warren, 2020. Woo!
All right. Take care, my brother. Have a good one. Okay, Kathleen, line 6. Come on in, Kathleen.
Hi, Egberto. How are you?
Oh, Kathleen, my friend. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm good. I'm good. Great show today.
Thank you, ma'am.
And I first wanted to just say kudos to all the callers. They have tremendous critical thinking skills,
yes,
and the ability to reason, the ability to comprehend different sides to the story and thoroughly examine the issue. So my kudos to them.
I have great callers from you,
really
right back.
do.
From
and
you right back.
I just
great
wanted
callers.
to acknowledge that, because so infrequently we kind of bring out the good stuff, you know, even when we disagree.
I mean, you know what? That's what was great, because even when Brad calls in and Brad started talking about double entry accounting, that is what Brad is Brad helps the message, because because Brad forces me to answer his concerns.
Exactly. Yes.
Go ahead, Kathleen.
And I have to say, for the last couple of years, that's how I handle things. Is I ask the people questions.
Right.
That's especially with people who lean right, who I'm trying to understand, like why they're saying what they're saying, and kind of, you know, get them to explain themselves a little better so I can understand where they're coming from and see if I agree with it. If they have a valid point, I want to know.
And sometimes they do. I mean, that's how that's what it's all about.
Right. But I also wanted to let you know I had the opportunity the other day to talk with my friend Tom. And we talk politics. He doesn't follow politics very closely, so a lot of things that I bring up, he's like, "Oh, what happened?" And he'll ask for details. And so we were having a conversation about politics the other day and about 2020, and the subject of Medicare for All came up. He brought it up. He said, "I'm not quite sure what to think of this Medicare for All." And I said, "Well, what's your biggest concern about it?" And he said, "Well, that my costs are going to go up. He's retired, and he's on Medicare and a supplemental insurance. And so he doesn't know too much about the proposal.
I'm going to have to beg you to speed it up because I got 3 more after you, and I only have like 8 minutes.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, I explained some of the basics of Medicare for All, including that it would cover more for him, and it would eliminate the supplemental insurance, the private insurance that he has to pay for.
Yes.
That it would cover eyeglasses, hearing aids, dental. And he was like, really? And I said, yeah. And so I think he is extremely agreeable to the idea. And so we're going to talk about it some more, and I'll answer any questions I can.
Kathleen, that is what's important. And I see Donna dropped off. I don't get a lot of women callers. Donna, call back. All
right.
Kathleen, thank you so kindly. And you know what? What you're doing is very important work. Please keep it up and make fishers of people like you're doing right now.
All right. Thanks so much, Egberto.
Have a wonderful day, Kathleen. Okay, Anand, my buddy. Come on in, Anand. And I want...
Hey, how are you doing?
Great. I want Donna to call back. I want to hear the other perspective as well. Call back in, Donna. Go ahead, Anand.
Oh, yeah. So I heard your other caller talking about doctors' salaries, and I didn't call about that at all, but just know in an average country, doctors' salaries as a percentage of the whole pot in the U.S. is lower than average. So in developing countries, doctors' and nurses' salaries, the vast majority of the budget. That's just not true here. So people are stagnant, too, for the last
Wait a minute. Anand, you better repeat that because the theory is that if we went Medicare for all, somehow doctors in the aggregates would do less. I think what you're really trying to say is all the pilfering doctors probably will do a little bit worse, but the average doctor would be just fine.
I would say it really depends where you are. I mean, the situation in Texas is different than it is in other states in that you have, would you have to say, reduce the rate paid in Texas, but increase the volume? It becomes very complicated, and then it becomes how do you distribute the doctors? But, that's all complicated. I didn't want to talk about that.
Yeah, tell me what you're calling
for. The Washington Post.
Yeah.
What do you think of that article saying they basically cited a ridiculous argument that Bernie Sanders lied about medical bankruptcies? I mean, if the mainstream media is going to say that, and then the article they cited was from their one argument against his number was cited from the New England Journal.
500,000. I mean, the thing about it is when you have to go there, it shows. In fact, Hanan, it is similar to what the Houston Chronicle wrote today. It's just this time they targeted one politician. Houston Chronicle targeted Medicare for all. So, I mean, it's all the same. That's what they do.
Right. And so I was looking at the original article in the New England Journal that they supposedly argued against it, okay? So I did some more digging because I have a New England Journal subscription. Well, the article they said to argue that there's not 500,000, or actually the article is like 520 to 575,000. His citation was an article in the New England Journal. Well, the original study basically looks at inpatient people in California who got admitted to the hospital tended not to go bankrupt as much as you think. And it was a very narrow picture. And then they got a letter in the mail from Elizabeth Warren and David Himmelstein for their alleged disproving of the 500,000 medical bankruptcies. So at this point, Elizabeth Warren is no longer a professor. She's a senator. And the letter says 81% of medical bills, of take-home medical bills, are from the office. They're not from the hospital. 81%. So this article that they cited from the New England Journal misrepresents 80% of people's medical debt.
There you go.
And the response to Elizabeth Warren and Dr. Himmelstein was nothing. He just ignored it. So they cited very bogus articles, and they brought up very clear points as to why this supposed debunking wasn't even true, and the media just went for it.
Anand, here's the deal, okay? You and I know exactly the position of the mainstream media. They are nothing but a ward to the plutocracy. We know that. You are a doctor. You understand that. Okay? We know that the media is a ward to the plutocracy. It is our job then to put whenever they do their warden job, to let Americans know that, and let also Americans build up the trust in what we are telling them by always being trustworthy to them. And that's what we do. So, Anand, thank you so kindly for your call, my brother, and thank you for. And yes, I read the article, and it's a sham. It's a shame.
Well, it's even more of a shame than you realize. But
Yes.
I'll write it up for you one day.
Please do. Actually, please do, because I'd like to post that. Okay.
All right, sure thing. Bye-bye.
Have a good one, Anand. Take care now. All right, MOD, come on in, man.
Hello.
Talkie, you're here, MOD.
Oh, cool. You made it.
Yes.
Woohoo. So, I think you got a good point on your blog there about the corporate fascist windfall that we call American care. What's it called? ACA?
Yeah.
So we see that, right? We see that what the I think you mentioned it not too long ago about that there's an analytics to see the average U.S. citizen's credit and average income, and they can basically charge to the point where they know that will default the regular consumer, right? You mentioned that not too long ago.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about that all of the times. But make your point, my friend, because we got about a minute.
Cool. I would say, Berto, that your point on healthcare is not just that. It's the same for banking. It's the same for financing. It's the same for home or educational loans. It's just one of the many industries that are
corrupt.
Siphoned.
In other words, what a lot of these industries simply use Americans as raw material, and they're in a true free enterprise system, there are exchange of values, right? You exchange one value for another value in a true free enterprise system. Now, people like to mix up capitalist and free enterprise. Elizabeth Warren is doing the same thing. Elizabeth Warren, but she's doing it consciously. Elizabeth Warren wants to redefine capitalism as free enterprise.
Yeah. What I think, Alberto, I think nobody wants Trump to win in 2020 more than the DNC.
Oh, you know something? MOD, I'm going to cut you off here, but let me tell you something. You are on... wait, hold on. You know, sometimes when you say some things, I'm like, come on, MOD. On that one, MOD, I'm gonna talk about that probably next week.
Say this real quick.
I don't have the time because I'm 10 seconds out, but
we'll
talk later. Folks, I gotta go. This is Egberto Willies, Politics Done Right, and you know how we end this program? I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.